Hey, how's it going, guys? So, with a lot of questions about Hero I've been getting recently, have done a video on Hero, doing the basics, doing the skills, doing the gameplay demonstration, and all that. So, with more and more questions about the class, I figured I'd make a video of how you should get ready for it, how you should prepare, what you should do, etc., etc. So, in the last video, which I'll either put a card up here somewhere or I'll do the usual and put it towards the end, that Hero uses 3 types of weapons: swords, TMGs, and taluses. Yeah, and taluses, and general skills and stuff that goes through. I won't go over all that too much. Someone asked, well, 2 people asked, could they use regular PAs with Hero? And the answer is no. None of the successor classes or scion classes, they're going to be called, can use standard PAs. They are locked in with successor PAs. So if you go here, the first 12 will be for Hero, next 12 for Phantom, and then next 12 for 12, as you can see right here. So you cannot put your standard PAs into these weapons, but you can put techs into your weapons. So Hero and Phantom, these 2 classes will get the ability to put techs into their weapons. Phantoms get rods and Heroes get taluses. So it is quite possible to add extra taluses or extra rods if you just want to cast techs and stuff with Phantom, which in hindsight I would recommend, especially for Hero, because again, they can use techs, but I wouldn't dedicate, a whole weapon just to use techs. Maybe a couple healing techs and stuff like that, or you could just throw it on your sub palette and just forget about it. But you can definitely put techs with a talus, so don't take out the possibility that you can't do that, because Hero and Phantom can totally do both, and they can do them pretty well. Not as well as a Force, but they can do it really well, especially with their skills that they get. They can do some pretty good damage, and with Phantom, it gets a little crazy how they can use that, but that's for another video, just further down the pipeline, so we're not going to get into that right now. So just remember, like I say, you can use techs. So if you haven't been doing crafting, please do crafting. Learn the achievements, get the new recipes. Again, they're not all available for you at start, so you can't customize all techniques, but as you level up your achievements, you get new spells and stuff, new recipes, new stuff like that. So like, for example, I think some of these spells you can't do off the bat, like D-Band and Shifter, you can't do off the bat. You gotta learn it, and then you can start crafting like Abundant Shifter and Stronger Shifter and stuff like that. So make sure you just go down your achievement line and you just, go down what you need to learn, what you have to do to learn those, and then customize them. So there you go. So with weapons, you get 3 weapons. Of course, you get your sword, TMGs, and your taluses. So Stratos here is your class guide. She gets some funny little chit chats and stuff in episode 6, which again, future video. So with her, she will give you an explanation of Hero, talk about the weapons and stuff like that. So you can learn about the class, you can learn about the weapons, you can learn about Hero time, and then the switching weapons PA. So again, I go over this in great detail in the other video, which if I haven't already posted it, it'll be towards the end. So I won't go over this, because if you've seen that video, you know what's going on. Or if you haven't seen it, you can pause it or go back to the other video and watch it. So I'll just go over real quick. So just about Hero, swords, TMGs, taluses. If you want to pause the video at any point and read this, you can. I'm just not going to read it. And then, of course, it's teaching you how to unlock it, which, I went over multiple times. And then the next one is just telling you how Hero is different. Can't use certain skill rings, can't set a subclass, etc., etc. So, again, with the Hero sword, it's just telling you high speed, wide attacks, and stuff like that. Again, if you want to read it, just pause it and read through real quick. And of course, it's talking about the action palette weapon, which is aura bullets and stuff like that. Someone was asking me, what are those fireballs you're shooting? There you go. And of course, with the TMGs, telling you how regular attacks consume PP, stuff like that. Again, pause the video if you want to read this stuff, and then talk about reload, recovering PP, etc., etc. And then it's telling you about, you know, certain abilities and stuff that won't work with your TMGs. So glance that over, because it could be really helpful for people who have those augments that can regenerate PP, and then it won't work with TMGs. So be cautious about that. The game will tell you if they won't work, so you don't have to second guess, will it work, will it not work, stuff like that. And of course, here's Talus. Probably, I would say probably one of the more underused weapons, but really good weapons nonetheless. And just telling you about the weapon action, blah blah blah. And then hero time is really important. That's why I usually tell people to use all your weapons, because it helps get your gauge up. And then of course, it's just letting you know about hero time. Every class has a slash time, hero time, phantom time, and stuff like that. So all three of them have this ability. And then of course, weapon switching PAs. It's just letting you know, like I've discussed in the last video, if you have a yellow marker, switch to Taluses. If it has a blue marker, switches to TMGs. And if it has a red marker, switch to swords. But of course, you have to hold that button down. So it's just letting you know how you can, you know, easily switch between the two weapons. And then it gets confusing if you have a palette of 6 weapons. So this will tell you how to do that. But if you just use 3 weapons, you'll be fine. And that's usually what I do. I just use 3 weapons and I'm fine. So with the explanation out the way, let's get to how you should prepare and what you should do to prepare. So depending on the weapons you want to use, again, I recommend using all 3. You really don't have to if you don't want to. I know a lot of people who are just going to be swords, just going to be TMGs or whatever. Just know that does help you get your gauge, your hero time gauge up faster if you're fighting with all 3 weapons. So that's why your PAs let you switch between weapons on the fly versus using your sub palette. So for weapons, sorry, I got a bunch of crap in here. For weapons, I have the novel set, just the plus 30, which I'm going to augment later time. Although I probably won't. I probably will just forget about it. But using 3 weapons and just 3 weapons can be a good thing, since you don't really have to worry about them. Element, I would stick to light. You're going to fight a lot of enemies that are just weak to light anyway. And when they're not, you're just going to be using your raw attack power. But in episode 6, everything's weak to dark. So people still use light anyway. It's just, you know, there's more enemies that are weak to light than they're weak to dark. So I would just use light anyway. If you're just a physical class or a range class, if you're a force, you know, you've got choices of which element to hit with the enemy if you play your force the way I do. If not, you know, play your class how you want to play your class. So TMGs and Taluses, they're pretty much just a straight standard of how, if you just want to use 3 weapons. If you use 6, you have to literally arrange them in a way so when you use your weapon switching PA, it'll go to that appropriate TMG or Talus. But again, if you're just using 3, don't have to worry about that. With your units, you know, it's a different story. Now, I would recommend, which I'm not doing right now, I'd recommend putting 1 unit per stat. So maybe your back piece is power, maybe your arm is ranged, and maybe your legs are tech. You know, if you want to spread out the love like that, you can. Or if you're just a sword hero, you could just use power like I'm using on mines. Or you can just use ranged if you're just going to use TMG. Or, you know, you can use striking for some Taluses, but with the tech, you need some technique. So it's better just to focus on tech if you want to do that, if you want to do that. But I would recommend having 1 piece with 1 stat each on there would help spread out, like I said, just spread out the stats and make your life a lot easier. And then the rings, I don't bother my rings because I haven't, like I said, I haven't played this account much, so I haven't really focused on my rings. But there's a lot of rings they've added in episode 4 and 5, so you'll have more choices of which, you know, rings you want to pick. Keep in mind that hero can't use a lot of rings, like a lot of the rings that enhances your attack with normal attacks, because they already do so much with that, etc, etc. Plus it would make TMGs too much strong. So yeah, now with the most important thing would be mags, because I get this question more often. What mag should I use? What mag should I use? Well, you could use an all dex mag. For me, I have an all striking mag, and then I have a kind of mishmash mag that I had a long time ago. Since I don't want to bother buying a new mag on a JP account, because it's a process to buy AC, and I don't want to deal with that. But I'd recommend an all dex mag, because it's just going to convert all of it into striking range technique anyway, so it'll be good for you anyway. And since dex is never a bad thing, I would go with that. So if you have 4 mags, go for it. You can have, you know, do what I do on my NA account. I have 4 mags, 1 for every stat. Someone commented and said put some in defense and stuff because you could get one-shotted. I wouldn't recommend that. That's just wasted damage that you can do. If your units are good enough, you know, you're gonna withstand some hits. But if you're a force, expect to die. That sounds grim, but just expect to just get one-shotted by a lot of stuff, especially in episode 5. It's gonna happen. You're gonna get hit really hard and you're just gonna die. You're not gonna have the HP, you're not gonna have the defense. Just, you know, wait for someone to res you or use a half-scape doll. It's just gonna happen. But it's not a dumb question. It's just, I wouldn't recommend putting them into defense, period. That's just wasted damage you could be doing. And, you know, again, if your units are good enough, you can either get beyond death's door or you could just be dead. I know that sounds horrible, but yeah, that's just, if you want to do a lot of damage, if you're not doing a lot of damage, the one thing you don't want to do is spend too much time killing one enemy, especially if you're by yourself. If you're by yourself, you may not be able to help it. You know, you're just gonna take a while killing enemies, and that's okay. But if you're in a group, you don't want to slack off, you know? I just hope that makes sense. But anyway, I hope that helps with a general idea of how you should get ready for Hero. As episode 4 is going, you know, collect some weapons up, you know, get a good sword. If you're a hunter, that's half the battle right there. If you're a gunner, same thing, that's half the battle. You've got a TMG, you just need a sword. And if you're a hunter, got a sword, just need a TMG. And then Talus, you know, if you're a force and you Taluses, you know, you're pretty much halfway there to figure out the rest of your weapons. That's just the hard part. It's just getting all those weapons ready. So we've got plenty of time now. I would say episode 5 is due out maybe sometime in December. I mean, not December, I'm sorry, September. But just keep in mind, it can get delayed. It can happen, you know, with the pandemic. So keep that in mind. I know a lot of people are saying September, but keep this in mind. Stuff can get delayed because games are getting delayed all the time. It's happening right now. Halo Infinite got delayed, for example. So they could push back a little bit if they're missing something. So just get prepared now. Just put it in your mind that you have a month. Well, not even a month because it's September next week. So just keep in mind you have time to prepare. So anyway, with that, guys, I'm going to wrap up this video. Again, I'm going to put up the original Hero video somewhere in here. You'll see it either at the beginning of the video or at the usual towards the end. So any questions about Hero, guys, just drop it down below. I know successor classes are going to be confusing for people. They won't know how they really function, but hopefully the videos have helped you out. And if you guys like the content, you know, subscribe. I'll be making plenty of episode 5 videos before it drops in September, hopefully. So next time, guys, peace.